You're listening to RX Report, where you get your healthier news delivered. We've got a special episode for you today to celebrate my glorious vacation return. Now, tell me if you've heard this one before. PACs, or political action committees, are everywhere and influencing politics and policy every day. But what are PACs, and are they all built the same? Did you know that APhA has a PAC that it's using to help shape pharmacy policy for the better? Well, to help shed some light on the confounding subject, I'm joined today by Starlin Haydon-Greating. She is a pharmacoepidemiologist, say that 5 times fast, and chair of the APhA PAC Board of Governors, who has been deeply involved in APHA's government affairs team and PAC efforts. She's going to lead us through the tipsy-turvy world of pharmacist PACs. So, Starlin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So, for those who are unaware, give me a bit of an elevator pitch of yourself. Like, introduce yourself in your role with the government affairs team here at APhA and the PAC that you work with.
So after my healthcare public policy fellowship with Senator Paul Simon back in 1989, I served for 26 years inside with federal and state Medicare and Medicaid healthcare quality assurance and drug utilization. So,
not to be confused with Simon and Garfunkel Paul Simon, different one.
No, but I have a great picture of Simon and Simon.
Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah. Because he always giggled. Senator Simon always giggled that people thought, I know you were expecting the other Simon. I can't carry a tune. But it was very rewarding experience because we were at the time covering over 90. And that was like the first insight of trying to expand pharmacist scope of practice. And it was supposed to be Medicare and Medicaid, and then it got chiseled down just to Medicaid. But I think we made a great impact. So for 26 years, I was doing that and was not able to be a member of any organization that lobbied or had a PAC. So for 26 years, I had to encourage my friends to represent what we needed at the table. So I worked very closely with APhA then, and then coming out of that process, I have been very involved at the local level in our state government and with APhA at the federal level. My work always focused on advancing pharmacist roles in team-based care, improving access for our patients, and shaping the policies that support our profession. So my role in government affairs right now is I've served on the PAC in multiple appointed processes when we were in the academies. And then this last year, they moved me into the PAC chair role, which has offered me more of a connection and between our members and the policymaking process. I mean, you can talk to our government affairs people because I've been so involved, especially in CMS and CDC, that I've kind of been and always had loose end connection with. I comment often on all their letters. I like to help phrase things so that, we're
you come out with like the red pen. You're ready to lay down the law in terms of the language.
Absolutely. My mom was a precinct committee woman for an entire county in the Southern Illinois area. So I grew up on this, making an impact, vote, talk to your legislators, get involved. With the PAC, I focus on building that awareness on our purpose and growing contributions, ensuring that we're strategically support the lawmakers who understand pharmacy, because and advancing the role of pharmacists in healthcare, because we vote pharmacy. It's nonpartisan, and if we're not at the table, we're being eaten, and it's not free to be at the table.
So government affairs is in your blood, like you said, with your mom. So for people like me who are still trying to catch up in terms of what a PAC actually is, can you explain that? Can you explain what a PAC does, and how it affects government policy?
Well, as you know, in healthcare and in all groups, we have our acronyms. So PAC means Political Action Committee. It's a legal member-driven tool that allows us to pool contributions and strategically support candidates for federal office who understand and champion our issues that are facing pharmacists and the patients we serve. So APhA PAC is not partisan. We work with people on both sides of the aisle. We're bipartisan, and it's all about advancing pharmacy, and having PAC ensures our profession has a seat at the table, as I mentioned. That voice and policy discussion shapes our ability to practice at the top of our license.
Okay, so you are actively making, it sounds like, the pathway for pharmacist success in government, but I feel like there's still a bit of challenge in trying to get people involved, not just to see the messaging that you're putting out, but to actually support the mission itself. So with that challenge of getting like people, members involved, how do you make your case to really draw support into the PAC?
I try to focus on connecting the dots, because we may be supporting someone that doesn't really reflect your personal beliefs and in your system. But if they're adding to the number that gets our bill or our needs at the table for discussion, then we have to focus on that. So we have to explain, okay, you may not agree with them on these 8 other things, but this one thing they have power and influence in, and we need that power and influence to pull us forward.
Right. Is that one thing worth the 8 other things that
So you're balancing that process. And I know not everything is black and white, and especially in government affairs, and especially when you get to the Capitol. So sometimes you have to wiggle through the gray to get to what we need to have it happen. We also, when we're at that table, have the ability to mention the things that don't necessarily run in our lane that will impact us. I mean, women in pharmacy have much needs for health issues. And so when someone tries to stop those, then that reduces the interest that women in pharmacy may have. However, we still need pharmacy benefit managers controlled. We still need these other needs processes. We need the ECHO. We need to be able to serve people in underserved areas. So we have to be like snipers and pinpoint the things that we can focus on. I mean, obviously, if we had more PAC money and a larger PAC contributions, we could then be a machine gun and carry on more of these, which is probably
Sure.
use an analogy that people aren't going to agree with. But the more money you have, the more business issues you can bring to the table. But if we have a small amount of money, you have to focus that on the number one thing that's going to impact the practice of pharmacy. And right now, that's PBM. And
right. So prioritization there.
Yeah, and our patient access to care, especially in underserved areas.
I'm selfish, and I'm curious. Like, if I'm a member and I'm contributing towards this PAC, then I want to know what I'm getting for my money. Like, what can you do for me? And what I'm hearing from you is it sounds like you are going on the offensive with PBMs. You're going on the offensive with like getting more women in pharmacy and kind of expanding the scope of the profession. Does that sound about right?
Yes, I mentioned women in pharmacy because I'm trying to engage the women in our pharmacy in APhA to help us encourage this. I mean, traditionally, if you think about the way things were back from 1960 to 2000, it was, pretty male oriented. And now more women are going to pharmacy school, more women are graduating, and more women are members. And so we want to engage them so that they have the power to help make the decisions. While PAC doesn't yield a financial return on investment like a stock would, or some other things that, we work with an organization, a commercial insurer that's going to enroll pharmacists in to give expanded care. That happened because we have been involved at the table on some of these reforms and acknowledging that pharmacists have greater potential than just dispensing medications only.
So you're not getting like a fiscal return. You're getting a lifestyle, a professional, a legal return.
I call that a VOI, a value on investment. And
okay.
And that is priceless. So we do get a return on investment because if we get engaged and we're utilized for all those 8 years of college that we go through and learn all this information and become the medication safety experts, which we are, then we have return on investment on our personal hopes and dreams in our career. It improves the the pharmacy practice and workflow, and then our patients have increased access and we improve healthcare.
So that's a good segue into my next question, because all of this investment, all this work, you're already making strides towards expanding and bettering the profession.
Mhm.
So if you were talking about kind of the small amount of resources you have now, where do you see the PAC headed over the next few years? And like, what would more money, more resources do for this PAC? What do you think you'd be able to achieve?
I'm hoping to see the PAC grow to be more visible and a more member engaged force in Washington, so that we're taking into account everybody in all the states. We work closely with the state associations to see what is bubbling up for them, because it's a side-by-side lane. One may be a fast lane, one may be a slower lane, but if we can get some rhythm within the state level, then that helps move the federal level. So they work kind of hand in hand. I also see if we had more resources, that we could expand our reach, like I previously talked about, addressing some of those nitty-gritty needs that we need to also address beside the big two. When we reorged and we went away from the academies, there's maybe a more open process for people to become more involved at a level that doesn't necessarily put them on an elected position within APhA, that everybody can be part of this and have a voice in it.
You're talking about the APhA communities, like that Wansboro
Yes.
Academies and other communities?
Yes.
Gotcha. So I'm seeing that like people getting involved can better upgrade their membership in terms of like what they're actually doing with it and capabilities and the effect that they're having on the profession. And then you and your team with the PAC are kind of leading the charge into making that change happen.
And then that increases our presence in those key committees and strengthens the relationships with policymakers. And then we tie it back to their constituent, who's our member, who's can speak to that issue that we are representing. And more contributions mean we have quicker access when those opportunities arise. So sometimes our government affairs team, our lobbyists, and our excellent group of people that are out there beating the streets of Washington, D.C., will find out that there's going to be a meeting or a fundraiser, and we may not find out about it until 24 hours before the fundraiser. So we have to act quickly so we can have that seat at the table and listen and get involved and create our strategy and come back and ask the membership about it. So
you stay light on your feet and you stay at the table so that you don't get eaten.
And right. And if we can respond to the threats, and we can proactively shape the legislation instead of just sitting back and reacting to it. So simply put, the more robust your PAC, the more influence we have in protecting and advancing the pharmacy profession for all.
Well, I'm looking forward to the APhA PAC getting super robust, and I'm sure that it will with people like you behind it. But Starlin Haydon-Greating, thank you so much for being on the show. We loved having you.
I loved being here. And if anybody has any questions, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to get them involved any way I can.
And that is our show. If this podcast made you want to figure out more about what PACs are, then leave us a comment and let me know your thoughts on everything we talked about today. Leave a like and subscribe and let us know that you love the show. Our executive producer is Rob Hodges. Our creative producer and co-editor is Kate Erdmann. And until next time, I've been your host, Mason Manuel. Be sure to tune in next Friday for more RX Report, where you get your health, your news delivered. But till then, bye y'all.